Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Patrick Henz, and I have the pleasure to welcome you to another episode of Data-Driven Formula One. Today, we will travel back into the 80s, 90s to speak about the person you see already on the screen, Alessandro Nannini, or The Last Latin Lover, due to the subtitle. At the end of this episode, you will learn why this is the case. A person I know a little bit better from his career after Formula One, where he was quite successful at the German Touring Car Championship, piloting the Alfa Romeo 155. Nevertheless, of course, today we have our focus on Formula One, and also we speak a little bit what he's doing today after he finished his active career. So welcome to today's episode again, and let's start. As always, a short introduction in the beginning, or a brief profile. Alessandro, short Sandro Nannini, is a son of a coffee dynasty founded in 1910 and a former racing driver from Italy. His 5-year Formula One career resulted in one and only win at the 98 Japanese Grand Prix. Some more details in this episode, but unfortunately ended less than a year later as a result of a helicopter crash. Is separated his right forearm. He was born on July 7 in 1959 in beautiful Siena, in the Tuscany, Italian, and he drove for just 2 teams in Formula One, Minardi and Benetton. 78 entries, as already mentioned, 1 victory. If you are a tourist going to Italy, most likely you will also visit the Tuscany. Besides Florence and Pisa, Siena, one of the most well-known places, especially as a tourist. On the right, for example, you see the cathedral. On the left, the famous city square. At the end, you will see this photo again, because here Alessandro Nannini has now his coffee, as he's not only responsible for the whole company, but also has his personal cafe directly at the city square in Siena. If you have the possibility to go to Italy and you are in the Tuscany area, please not only focus on Florence, Firenze, and Pisa, but also ensure to spend at least 1 day in Siena. Alessandro Nannini started racing with the famous Lancia Stratos at national rally events. You see here an image of the street version, powered by a 6-cylinder original Ferrari engine, and of course famous in rally championship. From 82 to 84, he started his Formula 2 career for the Italian Minardi team, which later also entered in Formula 1. But in these days, the car and the team had not been competitive. In 84, well, in fact, already in 83, he started at Le Mans. 83, together with another son of a famous Italian family, Paolo Barilla. Unfortunately, they not finished the race with the Lancia LC2. But if you're interested in Paolo Barilla, we have one episode where we speak about the careers of Formula One drivers after their active careers, and we delve a little bit into the situation what Paolo Barilla, who was in Formula One also with Minardi, is doing now, leading his famous pasta organization. 84, Nannini returned to the 24 hours of Le Mans with the Martini Lancia LC2. He set the fastest lap and in the race, and later finished on the 8th position together with the very experienced endurance car racer Bob Wollek. Same year, he won the 1,000 kilometer of Kyalami in South Africa, here together with Riccardo Patrese. of course, also famous as a Formula One driver, and I'm sure we will do a special episode about his long career. Then finally in 85, he entered together with the Minardi team Formula One. Well, in fact, he wanted to do so. It was planned to do so, but unfortunately his super license was declined. That's why he had to wait a little bit longer. But finally, next year, 86, was finally the day when he started first time in Formula One with Minardi team powered by a Motori Moderni engine. Motori Moderni, the company owned and led by the ex-Ferrari, ex-ATS, ex-Alfa Romeo engineer Carlo Chitti. It was a six-cylinder engine, particularly made for the smaller teams, an engine which enabled you to participate in Formula One at a relative low costs, but of course not an engine to enable you to fight really for victories or points. In 86, mostly outperformed his colleague Andrea De Cesaris, also a very famous Italian driver, but only finished 16 races, but already this showed his talent and speed, because Andrea De Cesaris, very famous, very fast driver. Next year, 87, he stayed with Minardi, and now he was the one driver, also on the paper, as he had been paired with Adrian Campos, and he finished 3 of the 16 races. To be fair with Minardi, please remember we are speaking here about the mid-80s, so a time also still the turbo era, where cars, especially engines, has been very unreliable. So even more prestigious teams often not finished the race. Sometimes even the problem has something small as not having enough fuel in the tank. Besides being active in Formula One, he also participated at other events, for example, driving a classic Maserati 250 SE, as you see on the photo at the Mille Miglia. Mille Miglia had been a street race before Formula One, mostly still in the 50s, but now in the 80s, this was more an event where you drove with classic cars, and it was not important to have a continuous speed, so the top speed was not that important, as the victory goes to the person with the most constant speed and maybe not who finished first. Nannini was a talented driver, which had been identified, for example, by the Benetton team, and this enabled him to drive for this team from 88 to 89. He became the number 2 driver, paired with the Belgian Terry Boutsen. In the second race, he already scored his first points in Formula One. So quite good second driver. Next year, 89, he became number 1. So the same development as he had at Minardi, and his colleague had been British Johnny Herbert. As a consequence of the infamous Prost and Senna collision, where both terminated their race, did not see the finishing line, he achieved his first and only Formula One victory at the Japanese Grand Prix, something which we always discussed in our episodes. You have to be prepared to be there when an opportunity arises, because Benetton late 80s had been a fast car, but it was not a car to beat in normal conditions Alain Prost or Ayrton Senna. But if they both had been out for whatever reason, you have been there because this could be one of your very few opportunities to win the race. And Alessandro Nannini had been there, took victory in Japan. 1990, his last year in Formula One, he had been somehow downgraded again to the number 2 driver as Nelson Piquet joined the team. Nelson Piquet had this famous contract, practically driving for a very low annual salary, but having a very competitive success fee. And this would be quite expensive for Benetton, as it was a quite successful year for Nelson Piquet. In opposite to Alessandro Nannini, who had been diving good. He only had been down 5-4 in the team duels against the strong Nelson Piquet. And this here we're considering just the results of races where both had been finished and not been out for technical reason or whatever. So again, this shows Alessandro Nannini's high talent and speed. And then the famous, or infamous, better said, helicopter accident. And let me quote here Sandro's own words. He had picked up my new helicopter from Florence, an Ecoreal, as you see on the photo. This is the photo shows the same helicopter, but it's not Nannini's one. And we were going to land at the airfield in Siena, but the pilot said, "No, we'll land at your home." He was very experienced with the Agustas, the other type of helicopters, but not on the Ecoreal. And where we landed, the ground was uneven. The tail rotor hit the ground. He tried to get some height, but made some mistake, and the helicopter was just spinning around in the air, out of control. I put my hands up to protect my head. I thought we would turn over when we went down, but the rotor blade hit my arms and I was thrown out. It all happened so fast, just a few seconds, but my right arm was gone. My parents went out of the house. My father picked up the arm, told the ambulance people to take it to the hospital. They didn't want to, but he did the right thing at the end, because the arm was completely separated, but in the hospital, they made it possible to connect the arm against together with the rest of the body. After this, he could use his hands, but not as good, not as precise as before. And honestly, this was the reason why he not returned to Formula One, but had been driving inside the German Touring Car Championship, where the Alfa Romeo engineers created a special kind of semi-automatic shifting, where he could shift just front and left inside of the normal shifting one to little. So that's why the reason why he was competitive in a touring car, maybe not 100% competitive, as he lost against his team colleague Nicola Larini, but he still was very fast and had been able to win races. Nannini was one of the potential candidates for a Ferrari contract. Of course, the Tifosi wanted to have an Italian driver in the Italian car, even if Ferrari, and we discussed it also various times in our episodes, after the various fatal accidents of Italian drivers, had been very resistant to not have Italians, because there had been a lot of negative press in the country. But there had been Alboreto as an Italian driver again. So, of course, the Tifosi wanted to see again an Italian driver, and Nannini, based on his talent and his speed, would have been a potential candidate if he wouldn't had this accident. Maybe not being the number 1 driver, but a strong number 2 driver, which is also important. So Ferrari contacted Nannini earlier the year and offered him a contract driving a Ferrari-powered car in the 1991 season. Ferrari-powered car, important. This could have been the Ferrari or the Minardi, which would have received the Ferrari engine for the 91 season. The contact was via the team manager at the time at Ferrari, Cesare Fiorio, who knew Nannini already from Lancia times, as before joining the Scuderia Ferrari, he was responsible for the Lancia team in the Rally Championship. In 92, in the Rally Championship, and of course endurance racing before that. In 92, Nannini got the possibility to test a Ferrari Formula One car featuring a special modified steering wheel. Interesting for Ferrari to test such a steering wheel, because maybe this could be something to include into the street cars. So also, of course, very good for marketing reason. I mean, maybe it was never seriously a test if he would return to Formula One, but again, great test for this kind of technology, as same as he had in the touring car, and maybe something to have in the street cars. Alessandro Nannini hadn't been the only one involved in air accidents. So here I put a short list of the Formula One drivers. In 1975, we had the fatal accident by Graham Hill, piloting himself the plane, where also a number of team members unfortunately died. 2 years later, the accident of Carlos Paz, the Brazilian driver. About both Graham Hill and Carlos Paz, we have a special episode. If you're interested in these two drivers, please check out the history of our videos. Then 1990, Alessandro Nannini, and 10 years later, also David Coulthard suffered an accident. In the case of Coulthard, nothing worse happened, so he continued his Formula One career. Okay, let's have a look back about his Formula One years. 86, 87 Minardi, both times 0 points, but again, be honest, the Minardi wasn't built to compete for points. Then 88 Benetton, 12 points, 10 position, and next year his strongest year, based on the points, 32 points and sixth position. 1990, Benetton, his last year, still 21 points. And even if it was quite in the middle of the year, he still qualified as on the 8th position at the end of the year. So we see very talented driver, and a pity that he had to leave early due to the accident. As I've already mentioned, in 93, he joined the German Touring Car Championship, also thanks to a semi-automatic shift, as similar as he tested in the Ferrari. Again, let me quote his own words. So, I went to the DTM, Deutsche Tourenwagenmeisterschaft, German Touring Car Championship. I was fast. It was easy with power steering and the new gearboxes, so that was successful for me. So this steering wheel gearbox was just in his car. The other Alpha drivers had a more conventional steering and shifting. Nicola Larini and I won many races, and Alpha won the championship in 94. So this was happy. And you see here his cars on the right. You see the 94 Alfa Romeo 155 Ti, 155 Ti for the Italians. On the left, you see you see the same car as in a small 1/243 version. On the top, you see the car as you can see it in the Alfa Romeo Museum in Milan. I know I've mentioned it various times before. For me, this is one of the most beautiful car museums in the world, where you see racing cars, street cars, prototypes. You have a 4D cinema. You have a library if you're doing investigations. If you are interested and ask, they even open the basement with more cars. But this you have, I think, to talk with the museum before. So really, if you have the opportunity, be in or around Milan, please go to this museum. Big tip. Interesting also here, Martini, as he started his racing career with the Lancia Martini. He finished his career also with Martini, the famous livery. In fact, it was sometimes even more than just a livery. And check out, as soon we will also have an episode about Martini racing. Already mentioned in the beginning, Alessandro is part of the Nannini family, coffee dynasty in Italy, and interesting coincidence, both Alfa Romeo and Nannini have been founded in the same year, 1910. So after finishing his career, he became quite responsible in leading and also restructuring the family business. In the past, we only had here the various cafes. We had artisanal production, which it's still today, but just you had to be in Siena, as it was quite local. And also, thanks to Alessandro, the organization modernized, meaning you can order this great food and wine now also online. If you're interested, you see here the link. Go there, and they ship it all around the world. Really a great artisanal coffee. The famous sweets, as we have find them in the Tuscany, and also, I mean, no surprise, they're also offering their own wine. So Sweets Nannini, Siena, as said, founded in 1910 by Guido Nannini. Besides the various Nannini coffees, there you see it here good on Google Maps. There's also the Alessandro Nannini Cafe, which directly belongs to him, led by him. It is at the Piazza del Campo, the famous city square, where each tourist who visits Siena will be there for sure. So if you are there, you see it here. If you want to have a coffee at the Alessandro Nannini Cafe, there you can find it. And you see it on the photo, unfortunately only quite small, but you see it in the background on the right cafe. Nannini is a name which you may have heard also from another person, Gianna Nannini, which is Alessandro's sister. Gianna Nannini was born on June 14, 1954, so 5 years older than his brother, and is an Italian singer and songwriter. The most notable songs include America 1979, Fotoromanza from 84, Il Maschi 87, or Meravigliosa Creatura and Bello e Impossibile, both from 86. If you like football or soccer, as we call it here in the US, together with Eduardo Benato, she performed the song of the 1990 Football World Cup, Un'estate italiana, an Italian summer, which was great for Germans because we won against Argentina. Italy only had been on the third position, but just as a fun fact, at least for Germans. Later, her 2017 song Leo Ultimo Latin Lover is inspired and dedicated to her younger brother Alessandro. And that's why we put it directly as a subtitle for this episode. So here he described her brother as the ultimate Latin lover, this typical Italian, which you know from movies, a little bit the cliche, but if you're listening to the words, it's really meant in a very positive and caring way. So, as you know, on Spotify, we have our data-driven mixtape, which songs dedicated to Formula One drivers, inspired by the sports in general. And of course, you find here Gianna Nannini's song also included. So if you have access to Spotify, highly recommend it. And that's all, folks, for today. You see here video, and we always recommend, if you're possible, to see the video version. Mostly we do talking, but we present here statistics, images, photos, which underline a little bit what we are talking about. You find this on YouTube, our home, YouTube Music, where you can also have this as directly as a podcast, meaning you get automatically the information when another episode had been dropped. Also the same now, of course, on Spotify, where you can have the video or the audio version. So please get the free abo for our podcasts to get this automatically on your phone, or automatically the notification, like this episodes. And if you don't have the possibility to see us, there are also the audio version on your famous podcast catcher. So we are all around the planet. You cannot escape us. Thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed it. And if yes, again, please give us a like. See you the next time. Bye bye.